a lot of people have been wondering, okay, why did the World Wildlife Fund accept funds from Canada Goose? Why is the WWF Canada supporting the fur industry? Why is the World Wildlife Fund doing all this? Like, why? What's happening? Okay, so I just wanted to show you visually by going to the World Wildlife Fund's website to show you the actual response from the WWF to the question why. Okay, so I'm actually here on facebook.com/WWF Canada, and I'm gonna actually scroll down to show you the question. Okay, I'm gonna scroll down. Scrolling down, a lot of negative comments already, right? But let's have a look at the question. Okay, so here it is. Somebody asked, "Hi guys, just wondering why. Why did you accept Canada Goose as your sponsor? Why? Why did you accept Canada Goose as your sponsor? I thought you were all about, anti-animal exploitation, and Canada Goose basically markets themselves as selling real coyote fur that is strapped, killed, skinned, and sold as a commodity." So basically, it's just, an honest question, like why? We find this very opposite, like a protection organization supporting a company that actually exploits and kills wildlife. Like, why? Please, why? Okay, so here's basically an image of a one of the posters that you can see in Toronto. It says, the CN Tower climb to raise funds for the WWF, and there's the Canada Goose logo. Okay, so the World Wildlife Fund actually responded, and their answer is right here. So basically, the WWF Canada answered that, "Thank you for your questions. WWF is not an animal rights group, is not a humane society, is not an animal welfare organization." So basically, to our question as to why are you supporting the fur trade? Why are you supporting the killing of wildlife, coyotes? Why? Their answer is that they don't advocate for any animal rights. They don't advocate for animal welfare, right? They're basically saying this right here. We're not an animal rights group. We're not a human society, nor an animal welfare organization. They do mention, though, that they are a conservation organization committed to protecting wildlife and wild places. This is terrible. This is very upsetting because they do mention that they're committed to protecting wildlife. However, coyotes are wildlife. So this is very, very upsetting. This is why we are concerned. On top of that, to add insult to injury, they mentioned that in case we're interested to know more about this whole situation, about Canada Goose and Canada Goose's collaboration with WWF and the WWF collaborating with the fur industry, they basically send you to the frequently asked questions from Canada Goose. So basically, the World Wildlife Fund supports Canada Goose. The World Wildlife Fund supports the fur industry, and they reaffirm that they're not an animal rights group, that they're not a humane society, and they're not an animal welfare organization. What really, really, really upsets everyone is that on top of all of this, on top of this new realization that basically this organization stands for exploitation of wildlife. On top of that, they mention that here's a link to the Canada Goose FAQ, and World Wildlife Fund mentions that coyotes are materials. They mention that coyotes are materials used as products. So basically, the World Wildlife Fund believes that coyotes are products, and they send you to the Canada Goose website, and they have no shame. They're basically very honest in their belief that coyotes are materials used as products. This is terribly upsetting, and this is why millions of people still believe that the World Wildlife Fund is all about protecting wildlife, right? And a lot of people actually in their comments, they mention the logo. The logo is a panda. The tagline is building a future in which people and nature thrive. One of the mandates of the organization is to protect wildlife, in danger or not. They don't mention in danger, they just say wildlife. Right? So basically, everyone's upset because yes, it's true. The organization is attracting animal lovers to support the organization without actually revealing that the World Wildlife Fund does not advocate for some wildlife, and in fact, is perfectly fine with the exploitation of coyote wildlife, and that they can even consider mentioning that coyotes are materials used and coyotes being products. So this is terrible, right? So basically the answer is here. Everything is live. There's a lot of comments, a lot of disappointment. And also I just wanted to show you something else. If you go on Twitter, they also mentioned this, right? They mentioned that, someone asked, so what's the truth? What's the truth behind, this whole Canada Goose situation and, the trapping of wolves, for Canada Goose codes? And this person is really, really concerned about this. And actually, the World Wildlife Fund responded, and they said that they corrected that they're not wolves, that they're coyotes. And because they're not endangered, it's okay to use them as commodities. It's okay to use them as jackets, as fabric. And once again, they send whoever asks the question, they send them straight to the Canada Goose FAQ. So essentially, the World Wildlife Fund is intentionally supporting the fur industry and specifically Canada Goose. And this is terrible. It's upsetting. It's heartbreaking. It's paradigm shifting, because obviously the animal advocacy community supports the World Wildlife Fund with the false premise that the World Wildlife Fund protects all wildlife. So this is just to show you once again that the World Wildlife Fund is not an animal rights group. It's not a humane society. It's not an animal welfare organization. They support Canada Goose and the fur industry, and that the World Wildlife Fund is okay with coyotes being used and being valued as materials and products. So this is just to show you just that, and just a reminder of how terrible this is that people know that it's wrong. For example, to this one answer, to this one revealing answer, this one person mentions, is there any other organizations that I can refer to? Because obviously with the technology that we have, there has to be another way to change this. Exploitation is wrong. It feels wrong. We feel it's wrong. It is wrong. I don't need to remind you, but I just wanted to show you what actually happens to coyotes, and specifically what the World Wildlife Fund is promoting. So just to review it, the trapping of wildlife, and by sponsoring Canada Goose, the trapping of coyote wildlife, the suffering of coyote wildlife, and this. This is wrong. This is just terrible. This has to stop. If the World Wildlife Fund is not an animal rights group, it's not an animal advocacy group, and supports the killing of wildlife, please speak up.